I turned the page of the calendar. It was a simple gesture. A plastic triangle. Flipped from May to June. The new page showed a photograph of a mountain lake. The water was perfectly still. I had bought the calendar at a pharmacy. It hung by the fridge. Its purpose was to remind me of trash day and my monthly book club. I made a pot of tea. Chamomile. The kettle. A soft, familiar sound. I poured the water. I watched the steam rise. My house was quiet. It was always quiet now. The doorbell rang. It was a Tuesday. My daughter, Eleanor, always visited on Tuesdays. She called them her check-in days. She said it gave her peace of mind. I opened the door. She stood there with a tote bag. She was smiling. "Hi, Mom. Brought you some groceries. I thought your fridge looked a little bare last week." I stepped aside. "That's kind of you. I was just making tea." "Perfect." She walked past me into the kitchen. She set the bag on the counter. She began unpacking. Yogurt. Pre-washed salad. A loaf of whole grain bread. "I got the kind you like," she said. She didn't look at me. She was arranging things in the refrigerator. "Thank you," I said. I took down a second mug. I poured her tea. She preferred a different kind, but I only had chamomile. I knew she would not drink it. She closed the fridge. She looked at the mug on the counter. She did not touch it. "How are you feeling, Mom? Sleeping okay?" "I sleep fine, Ellie." "Good. That's good." She opened a drawer. She took out a pen. She walked to the calendar. She circled a date. "Don't forget. Dr. Shriver on the 14th. I moved your appointment to 2 o'clock. It works better for my schedule." I looked at the circle. It was in red ink. I thought it was at 10. It was. I rescheduled it. "I called them yesterday." She put the pen back. "It's not a problem, is it?" Her voice was light. Helpful. "No," I said. "It's not a problem." She smiled again. It was a warm smile. It was the smile she used in client meetings. I had seen it in photographs on her firm's website. "Great. I also wanted to talk about something. A practical matter." She sat at the kitchen table. She gestured for me to sit across from her. I sat. I held my mug with both hands. "You know I worry about you," she began. "Living alone. Things can happen. A fall. A medical event. I was talking with Greg about it." Greg was her husband. He was a financial advisor. "We thought it would be smart," she continued, "to have a plan in place. Something to make sure you're taken care of. Without any legal hassles." I waited. "A power of attorney," she said. "For finances. And for healthcare. It's just a precaution. It would let me help you manage things if you ever couldn't. Pay bills. Talk to doctors. That sort of thing." The sun came through the window. It fell on the table between us. Dust motes danced in the light. "I manage my bills," I said. My voice was quiet. "Of course you do," she said quickly. "This is for just in case. It's what responsible families do. It's a kindness, Mom. It's so you don't have to worry." She reached into her tote bag. She pulled out a folder. It was a clean manila folder. She opened it. There were several documents inside. The top one had a title in bold letters. Greg had his office draw these up. They're standard forms. "I'm named as your agent. It's very straightforward." She slid the top document toward me. There were yellow sign here tabs on several pages. "You just need to sign. I can witness it. Then we'll get it notarized." I already made an appointment at the bank for Friday. They have a notary. I looked at the document. The words were small. The language was dense. "I would like to read it first," I said. Her smile tightened at the corners. "Just for a second." Then it relaxed. "Absolutely. You should. It's all very standard. It just says I can act on your behalf if it's ever necessary. To help you." She stood up. "I'll leave it with you. Look it over. We can sign it Friday at the bank. It'll give me such peace of mind, Mom. To know you're protected." She kissed my cheek. She picked up her empty tote bag. "I'll see you Friday. 10 o'clock at the bank. I'll drive you." She left. The house was quiet again. I sat at the table. I looked at the document. I did not read it then. I finished my tea first. The tea had gone cold. I read the document that night, under the light of my reading lamp. The language was, as she said, standard. It granted a durable power of attorney to Eleanor Marie Vance. It gave her broad powers. Over banking, investments, taxes, property. The healthcare one was similar. It allowed her to make medical decisions if I was incapacitated. It seemed benign. A sensible precaution. I was 72. I lived alone. My husband, Arthur, had been gone for 5 years. I had a daughter who cared, who wanted to help. I put the documents back in the folder. On Friday, Eleanor picked me up at 9:45. She was cheerful. She talked about her work. A big merger she was managing. We went to the bank. A young man in a tie met us. He was the notary. He asked for my identification. He watched me sign in 3 places. He stamped the documents. He signed his name. He recorded it in a ledger. Eleanor shook his hand. She thanked him. She placed the executed documents carefully into her leather briefcase. All set, she said to me. Now we don't have to worry. We had lunch at a cafe near the bank. She paid. She said, my treat. That was the beginning. The changes were slow. They were almost invisible. A week later, Eleanor suggested we simplify my banking. You have 3 accounts, Mom. It's confusing. Let's consolidate them. I can help. I went with her to the bank. We met with a manager. I sat while Eleanor explained what we wanted. The manager spoke to me. He asked if I understood. I said yes. He pushed papers toward me. I signed them. My savings, my checking, a small money market. They were all merged into one new account. Eleanor's name was added as a joint signatory. For ease, she said. My monthly pension deposit went into that account. My Social Security. Eleanor set up online banking. She said it was more convenient. She said she would help me monitor it. She wrote down the login and password. She kept the paper. I'll put this in my files at home, she said. Just in case you forget it. I nodded. The next Tuesday, she brought a new checkbook. For the new account, she said. She put it in a drawer. Use it for groceries and things. For anything bigger, just let me know. I can write the check. I don't want you getting confused with the new account numbers. I did not argue. A month after that, she mentioned the house. The property taxes are coming due, she said. And the insurance. It's a lot to keep track of. Why don't I just handle it from my end? I can set up automatic payments from your account. Then you never have to think about it. I looked at her. We were in my living room. She was looking at her phone. I've been paying those taxes for 40 years, Ellie. She looked up. Her expression was soft. Concerned. I know you have. And you've done a great job. But things slip as we get older. I'm just trying to take a few burdens off your shoulders. Let me help you. I felt a dull pressure in my chest. It was not pain. It was a weight. All right, I said. She smiled. Good. That afternoon, she asked for the filing cabinet key. I kept all the household documents in a locked cabinet in the den. I gave her the key from the hook in the kitchen. She spent 2 hours in the den. I heard the sound of papers shuffling, the soft rustle of files. When she came out, she had a stack of papers in her hands. Insurance policies. The deed. Tax records. I'll scan these, she said. So we have digital copies. It's much safer. She took them with her when she left. The following week, my book club met at my house. We had been meeting for 15 years. 4 women. We read novels. We drank wine. We talked. Eleanor stopped by unexpectedly. She had a key now. She let herself in. She came into the living room where we were sitting. She smiled at my friends. Hello, ladies. Don't mind me. I'm just dropping off some vitamins for Mom. She went to the kitchen. She put a bottle on the counter. She came back. She stood near my chair. She put a hand on my shoulder. You're not overdoing it, are you, Mom? Remember what Dr. Shriver said about your blood pressure. Maybe go easy on the wine. The room went quiet. My friend Margot looked down at her glass. I'm fine, Ellie, I said. I know. I just worry. She squeezed my shoulder. Have fun. Don't stay up too late. She left. The conversation after that was stiff. It did not recover. Margot called me the next day. Her voice was careful. Clara, is everything okay? Eleanor seemed very involved. She's just being helpful, I said. Oh, okay. It's just she spoke to you like you were a child. It made me uncomfortable. She means well, I said. There was a pause on the line. If you say so. Margot said. She changed the subject. The next book club was at Margot's house. I was not invited. I found out from another member weeks later. She said she thought I was sick. She said Margot told her I wasn't feeling up to it. I did not call Margot to ask. I knew. The seasons changed. Summer became fall. The mountain lake on the calendar was replaced by a forest of orange leaves. Eleanor's help expanded. She hired a cleaning service. The dust was getting thick. Mom, it's not good for your allergies. 2 women came every other Thursday. They moved things. I could never find my reading glasses after they left. She ordered groceries for delivery. It's easier than you going out. The orders were often wrong. I received sugar-free cookies I did not like. Low-sodium soups that tasted of nothing. When I mentioned it, she sighed. Mom, they have your dietary needs on file. Dr. Shriver's office sent them over. You need to be mindful of your heart. I had no diagnosed heart condition. I had slightly elevated blood pressure. That was all. I stopped mentioning things. I began to feel like a guest in my own home. A slightly inconvenient guest. One who needed managing. Then came the wedding. My grandson Ben was getting married. He was Eleanor's son. My only grandchild. The wedding was in Vermont. A destination event. It was planned for October. I had received a save-the-date card months before. I had circled the date on my pharmacy calendar. In my own pen. Blue ink. In August, Eleanor came over. She had her laptop. "We need to book your travel for the wedding," she said. "Flights and hotels are filling up." "I'd like a window seat," I said. "On the flight." She nodded, typing. "I'll see what's available. It's a popular weekend." A week passed. Then 2. I asked about the flight. "It's all handled, Mom. Don't worry." "Do I have an itinerary?" "I have it. I'll email it to you." She never did. 3 weeks before the wedding, she sat me down. Her face was a mask of gentle regret. "Mom, I have to talk to you about the wedding. It's a difficult situation." I waited. "Ben and Chloe, they've had to cut the guest list. Drastically. The venue had a fire code issue. They can only have half the people they planned for." She reached for my hand. I did not give it to her. "It's been so hard on them. They're devastated. But they had to make cuts. Immediate family only. And, well, with the travel and the crowds and all the stimulation." She looked into my eyes. Her own eyes were shiny with unshed tears. "We're all worried about you. The trip would be so demanding. The noise. The confusion. All those people." Dr. Shriver agreed. He said it could be a serious stressor. A risk. I said nothing. "We thought it would be better. Safer. For you to stay home. We'll have a lovely celebration with you when we get back. Just the family. It will be more intimate. More your speed." The room was very still. I could hear the refrigerator humming in the kitchen. "Ben agreed to this?" My voice was a dry leaf. "Of course he did. He's heartbroken. But he wants what's best for you. We all do." She handed me an envelope. "He wrote you a note. He felt so bad." I took the envelope. I did not open it. "The wedding is for the young people, Mom. It's going to be chaotic. You'd be miserable. This is really a kindness." I looked at the calendar on the wall. The October picture was of a covered bridge. The date of the wedding was still circled in my blue ink. "I see," I said. She stood up. She kissed the top of my head. "You're being so understanding. Thank you." After she left, I opened the envelope. The note was in Ben's handwriting. It said he was sorry I couldn't make it. He said he would visit soon. He signed it Love, Ben. It did not sound like him. The wording was stiff. Formal. I went to the den. I wanted to look at my old photo albums. Pictures of Ben as a boy. Fishing with his grandfather. The filing cabinet was locked. Eleanor had never returned the key. I had not asked for it. I stood there for a long time, looking at the locked drawer. That was the first betrayal. It was calm. It was clothed in concern. It was presented as a kindness. It left a hollow space inside me. A space where something familiar had been removed. I did not cry. I felt cold. Very cold and very clear. The wedding weekend arrived. Eleanor and Greg flew to Vermont on a Thursday. They would be gone for 5 days. The house was profoundly quiet. It was my own quiet again. Not the quiet of being managed. The quiet of being alone. On Friday morning, I put on my coat. I walked to the public library. It was a 15-minute walk. The air was crisp. At the library, I used a public computer. I created a new email address. One Eleanor did not know about. I used a variation of my maiden name. I signed up for a digital cloud storage service. I used a strong password. I wrote it down on a slip of paper. I put that paper in a book on my shelf at home. A book of poetry my husband had given me. Eleanor never looked at poetry. I went to the bank. Not my bank. A different one across town. I asked to open a new checking account. A personal account, in my name only. The banker was polite. He asked for identification. He asked for an initial deposit. I had brought $100 in cash. I deposited it. He gave me a temporary debit card. He said a permanent one would come in the mail. To my home address. I told him I was concerned about mail security. I asked if I could pick up the card at the branch. He said that was unusual. But he could make a note. I could call when it arrived. I said that would be fine. I walked home. I felt tired. But it was a clean tired. On Saturday, I went back to the library. From my new email, I sent a message. I requested a copy of my credit report from all 3 bureaus. I had my social security number memorized. I also logged into the county recorder's website. I looked up the deed to my house. I had paid off the mortgage 10 years ago. Arthur and I had owned it free and clear. The deed was still in our names. Arthur Vance and Clara Vance, as joint tenants with right of survivorship. Since Arthur's death, it should have passed to me alone. The record showed that. Clara Vance, sole owner. I printed a copy of the page at the library. It cost 25 cents. On Monday, I called my pension provider. I had a small pension from my teaching career. It was directly deposited into the joint account with Eleanor. I told the representative I wanted to change my banking information for the deposit. I gave her the routing and account number for my new, private account. She said there would be a form to sign. She could mail it. I asked if I could have it sent to a P.O. box. She said that was fine. I walked to the post office. I rented a small post office box. I paid for 6 months in cash. That afternoon, I went to a print shop. I made photocopies of my driver's license, my social security card, and the deed. I made 3 copies of each. I put one set in my new safe deposit box. The bank had required one when I opened the account. I put another set in the P.O. box. I kept the third set at home, hidden. I was not sure what I was building. I was not planning a war. I was creating a record, a footprint that belonged only to me. Eleanor returned on Tuesday evening. She came to the house, glowing. She showed me pictures on her phone. The ceremony. The reception. Ben and Chloe smiling. It was beautiful, Mom. You would have loved it. She did not ask how I had spent my weekend. She assumed I had sat quietly, waiting. She told me about the food, the music, the speeches. I looked at the pictures. I saw my sister, Helen, in one of them. Helen lived in Florida. She had flown up for the wedding. Eleanor had not told me she was invited. I pointed to the screen. Helen looks well. Eleanor's smile flickered. Oh, yes. She came. It was a last-minute thing. I nodded. I said nothing more. The next week, the first pension payment went into my new account. The old joint account received nothing. Eleanor noticed immediately. She called me. Her voice was tense. Mom, the pension didn't come in. Did you get a notice? Was there a problem? I changed it, I said simply. There was a long silence. You changed it? Changed what? The bank account for the deposit. I opened a new account. Why would you do that? Without telling me. Her voice was rising. She controlled it. Mom, that's not responsible. What if there was an error? What if the money was lost? It wasn't lost. I have it. Where? What bank? It's my account, Ellie. For my expenses. She took a sharp breath. I could picture her face. The composed mask slipping. This is exactly what I was trying to prevent. You making erratic financial decisions. You can't just open accounts on a whim. We need to get this sorted. I'm coming over. I have my book club today, I said. It was a lie. The book club no longer existed. Cancel it, she said. The words were clipped. Final. She arrived 30 minutes later. Greg was with her. He rarely came on Tuesdays. They sat in my living room. Greg looked uncomfortable. Eleanor was pale with controlled anger. Mom, we need to see the paperwork for this new account. We need to get the deposit switched back. This is a mess. It's not a mess, I said. The money is safe. I am using it. Using it for what? Greg asked. His voice was softer, trying to be reasonable. For my needs. The cleaning service you hired is expensive. The grocery deliveries are more than I spent at the store. I need to manage my own cash flow. Eleanor stared at me. I manage your cash flow. That's the arrangement. To protect you. You agreed. I am reconsidering the arrangement, I said. Her eyes widened. This was new. I had never pushed back before. Not directly. Mom, she said, her voice dropping to a whisper. Are you feeling okay? This isn't like you. This is impulsive. Are you confused? There it was. The first hint of the new language. I am not confused. I opened a bank account. Many seniors have more than one account. But why? Why would you need to? Greg spread his hands. We handle everything for you. To make your life easier. It does not feel easier, I said. Eleanor leaned forward. She put her hand over mine. Her skin was cool. I think you're overwhelmed. The wedding disappointment. It stirred you up. Maybe we should call Dr. Shriver. Talk about adjusting your medications. I withdrew my hand. My medications are fine. You're not acting like yourself. Her voice was full of tender worry. I'm concerned. Truly. Greg nodded. We both are, Clara. I looked from one to the other. A united front of concern. It was a powerful thing. I will think about what you've said, I told them. It was a neutral statement. It gave no ground. It did not satisfy them. But they had no lever in that moment. The money was in an account they could not access. They did not even know which bank. They left with strained smiles. Promises to check in tomorrow. After they were gone, I sat in the quiet. I understood the new phase had begun. The phase where my competence would be questioned. Where my actions would be framed as confusion. As a symptom. I needed a lawyer. Not just any lawyer. A specialist. I did not use my home phone. I did not use my email. The next day, I went to the library again. I researched. I looked for elder law attorneys in my state. I looked for firms that specialized in capacity disputes. In fiduciary abuse. I made a list of 3 names. I called them from a pay phone outside the library. The first 2 were not taking new clients. The third, a woman named Amanda Price, had a receptionist who said she could schedule a consultation in 2 weeks. I took the appointment. I gave my name. I gave my new email address. I gave the phone number for my P.O. box as a contact. I said I would come to the office. The receptionist said they would send intake forms via email. I thanked her. I hung up. When I got home, Eleanor was there. She was in the kitchen on her phone. She ended the call quickly. Mom, where have you been? I've been calling. I went for a walk. A long walk. She studied me. I was worried. I almost called the police. That would have been unnecessary, I said. She ignored that. I spoke to Dr. Shriver's office. I expressed my concerns about your recent behavior. They're going to move up your next appointment. They think a cognitive screening might be a good idea. A cold trickle went down my spine. A cognitive screening. The first step on a well-worn path. The path to a finding of incapacity. The path that would make the power of attorney irrevocable. That would make her control legal, and my resistance proof of my illness. I see, I said. It's for the best, she said. Her eyes were bright. Determined. We need to know what we're dealing with, so we can help you properly. She had moved quickly. She was no longer just managing my household. She was preparing to manage me. I nodded slowly. I did not argue. Arguing would be proof. All right, I said. She seemed surprised by my acquiescence. She had expected resistance. My calm threw her off balance. Good, she said. It's scheduled for next Wednesday. I'll take you. I can drive myself. I'd rather take you. It's no trouble. I did not fight. As you wish. She stayed for an hour. She made us both tea. This time she drank it. She made small talk. She asked about the weather. She talked about Greg's work. I answered in monosyllables. I was conserving my energy. I was observing. When she left, I went to the den. I tried the filing cabinet again. It was still locked. I wondered what other documents she had taken. My marriage certificate. Arthur's death certificate. My will. My will. I had not thought of it in years. Arthur and I had made simple wills. Everything to each other, then to Eleanor. It was with our lawyer, an old family friend who had since retired. I had never updated it. I needed to find it. I needed to change it. But first, I had to get through the cognitive screening. The next week was a strange limbo. Eleanor called every day. Her tone was sweet. Cloying. She was performing care. I performed calm normality. I went to the grocery store. I bought my own food. I cooked simple meals. I read. I watched the news. I behaved as much as possible, like a perfectly normal woman. But inside, I was gathering myself, like drawing a breath before diving into deep water. On Tuesday, the day before the doctor's appointment, I went to the library. I accessed my new email. The intake forms from Attorney Price were there. I filled them out on the library computer. I did not submit them yet. I printed them. I would bring them to the consultation. I also did more research. I read about cognitive assessments. The MMSE, the MOCA. I learned what they tested. Memory, orientation, attention, language. I was a former teacher. I understood tests. I understood what they measured and what they did not. I did not try to study. That would have been pointless. Instead, I practiced calm. I practiced focus. On Wednesday morning, Eleanor picked me up at 8:30. She was dressed in a serious, dark suit. She looked like she was going to a funeral. Ready? She asked. Yes, I said. The drive was silent. She played soft classical music. Dr. Shriver's office was in a medical building. We checked in. The nurse called me back. Eleanor stood to come with me. The doctor will see her alone first, the nurse said gently. Eleanor's smile was tight. Of course. I'll be right here, Mom. I followed the nurse. We went to an exam room. Dr. Shriver came in a few minutes later. He was a kind man in his 60s. He had been my doctor for a decade. Hello, Clara. How are you today? I am well, thank you, doctor. He glanced at his chart. Your daughter called. She has some concerns. She says you've been making some unusual financial decisions. That you seem confused. I opened a bank account, I said. To have spending money. My daughter controls my other accounts. He nodded, writing. She says she does that to help you. That it was getting to be too much for you. It was never too much. I managed my finances for 40 years of marriage and 5 years as a widow. I only stopped when she insisted. He looked up. I see. She also mentioned you were upset about missing your grandson's wedding. I was not upset. I was excluded. She told me the venue had a capacity issue. Then she showed me pictures of my sister, who was invited. The story was not consistent. Dr. Shriver leaned back in his chair. He looked at me thoughtfully. Clara, I'm going to ask you some questions. It's just a routine screening. It helps me get a baseline. Is that okay? It is. He asked me the date, the day of the week, the season. He named 3 objects and asked me to repeat them. He asked me to count backward from 100 by 7s. He asked me to spell world backward. I answered. Calmly. Correctly. He gave me a piece of paper. He asked me to draw a clock face. To set the hands to 10 minutes past 11. I drew the circle. I placed the numbers. I drew the 2 hands. One short, one long. Pointing to the 10 and the 2. He took the paper. He looked at it. He nodded. He asked me to recall the 3 objects he had named earlier. I named them. He made a note. He put down his pen. Clara, your cognitive screening is perfectly normal. No signs of impairment. No indication of dementia or confusion. I felt a flood of relief. But I kept my expression neutral. Thank you, doctor. However, he said, your daughter's concerns seem genuine. She is worried. Stress can sometimes manifest in odd ways. For everyone involved. Maybe there's a communication issue. Perhaps, I said. I'm going to bring her in. We'll all talk. He left. A moment later, he returned with Eleanor. She sat in the chair next to me. She looked at Dr. Shriver expectantly. Eleanor, he said, I've done a cognitive screening. Your mother scored very well. Within the normal range for her age and education. There's no medical evidence of cognitive decline. Eleanor's face fell. Just for an instant. Then it rearranged itself into pleased surprise. Oh, that's wonderful news. She reached for my hand. I let her take it. I'm so relieved. But, Dr. Shriver continued, she tells me she feels you may be overmanaging. That she opened a new account to regain some financial autonomy. Have the 2 of you talked about this? Eleanor's grip on my hand tightened. We have, doctor. Of course we have. I just want what's best for her. The world of finance is so complicated now. So many scams target the elderly. I was trying to protect her. I understand, Dr. Shriver said. But autonomy is also important for well-being. Maybe a compromise. She keeps her personal account for discretionary spending. You continue to help with the larger bills. How does that sound? It sounded reasonable. To him. Eleanor smiled. It was a beautiful, gracious smile. That sounds like a perfect solution. Thank you, doctor. I'm just so glad she's okay. We left the office. The smile vanished the moment we were in the elevator. She did not speak until we were in the car. You lied to him, she said quietly. She did not look at me. She stared straight ahead, gripping the steering wheel. I did not lie. You made it sound like I'm some kind of jailer. After everything I've done for you. The hours I've spent. The worry. Her voice trembled. With anger, not sorrow. I appreciated the help, I said. I did not ask for a takeover. She started the car. She pulled out of the parking lot with a jerk. You have no idea what's out there, Mom. You have no idea how vulnerable you are. I am the only thing standing between you and chaos. I said nothing. I looked out the window. The trees were bare. The sky was gray. The next Tuesday, she did not come. She did not call. The following Tuesday, she came. She was pleasant. Distant. She brought groceries. She put them away. She did not mention the bank account. She did not mention the doctor. She asked about a book I was reading. She made polite conversation for 20 minutes. Then she left. It felt like a retreat. But I knew it was not. It was a tactical repositioning. A month passed. The holidays approached. Eleanor invited me to Thanksgiving at her house. A large gathering. Greg's family would be there. I accepted. I went. I was polite. I spoke little. I observed. Ben was there with his new wife, Chloe. He hugged me. He seemed happy to see me. He asked how I was. He did not mention the wedding. I watched Eleanor. She was the perfect hostess. Charming, attentive. She introduced me to people as my mother, Clara. She did not add any qualifiers. She did not hover. It was a performance. A performance of normalcy. For the family. For Greg's relatives. I understood. She was shoring up her narrative. The narrative of the devoted daughter. If a conflict became public, they would all see her as the reasonable one. The one who had thrown lovely holiday parties for her aging mother. I played my part. The quiet, grateful mother. After New Year's, the second attack began. It was not emotional. It was legal. It was cold, and it was final. A letter arrived. It was from a law firm I did not recognize. Sutter and Brecken, LLP. It was addressed to me. I opened it. The language was formal. It stated that the firm represented Eleanor Marie Vance. It concerned my well-being and financial security. It cited the durable power of attorney I had signed. It stated that, based on concerns regarding financial decision-making and personal vulnerability, their client was petitioning the probate court for a formal determination of incapacity, and for the appointment of a plenary guardian of my person and my estate. Eleanor, of course, was named as the proposed guardian. A court date was listed. 6 weeks away. Attached was a sworn affidavit from Eleanor. It detailed my erratic behavior. The secret bank account. My isolation from friends, the book club was cited. My paranoia about her help. My confusion at the doctor's office, which she claimed Dr. Shriver had downplayed out of kindness. It was a masterpiece of distortion. Every act of my quiet resistance was framed as a symptom of decline. My hand holding the letter was steady. My heart beat slowly, heavily in my chest. This was the battlefield. Not the kitchen. Not the doctor's office. A probate court. She was not trying to persuade me anymore. She was trying to erase me. Legally. I had 6 weeks. The next day, I took the bus downtown. I had the address for Amanda Price's office. I brought the letter. I brought my folder of documents. Her office was in a modest brick building. Her receptionist led me to a small, tidy conference room. Amanda Price was in her 40s. She had sharp eyes and a no-nonsense manner. She shook my hand. She gestured for me to sit. "You received a petition for guardianship," she said. It was not a question. I handed her the letter. She read it quickly. She skimmed the affidavit. "This is serious," she said, "but not uncommon. The good news is they've tipped their hand. A petition like this, based on such thin allegations, suggests they are impatient. Or they're afraid you're getting advice. Which you now are. Can they win?" I asked. "They can try. The standard is clear and convincing evidence of incapacity. That means you cannot manage your person or your property. That your decisions pose a risk of harm. Based on what you've told me and this affidavit, they have no medical evidence. They have lifestyle disagreements. That's not enough." She put the letter down. "But the process is the punishment, Clara. They know that. They want to drain you, financially and emotionally. They want you to give up, to agree to their protection to make it stop." "I will not give up," I said. She smiled. It was a thin, professional smile. "Good. Then we fight. And we fight smart. First, I will file an objection. I will demand a medical evaluation by an independent geriatric psychiatrist. Court appointed. Your daughter will have to pay half the cost. That will slow her down. What do you need from me?" I asked. "Everything. A full financial picture. All your accounts. All your assets. Proof of your competency. Letters from people who know you. Your old tax returns. Your daily routines. We need to build a wall of evidence that you are exactly what you are. A capable, if somewhat private, adult woman." I opened my folder. I handed her the statements from my new bank account, the deed to my house, the copies of my credit reports, a list of my daily activities, the books I was reading, the walks I took. She took them. She looked impressed. "You've been busy." "I have been observant," I said. "Observation is evidence," she replied. "Now tell me everything. From the beginning. The first helpful suggestion. The first document you signed. The wedding. All of it." I told her. I spoke for an hour. Calmly. Chronologically. I did not embellish. I did not weep. I stated facts. She took notes. Pages of notes. When I finished, she leaned back. "This is a classic case of undue influence. She isolated you. She controlled information. She took over your finances under the guise of help. She excluded you from family events to weaken your connections. Now she's moving to formalize her control because you started to resist. It's a playbook. What is the end game?" I asked. "For her? Total control of your assets. Your house. Your pension. Possibly moving you into a facility while she sells your home. It's about money, Clara. It's almost always about money." I had known this, but hearing it stated so plainly was like a splash of cold water. "My will leaves everything to her," I said. "Of course it does. Most parents' wills do. She doesn't want to wait. Or she's worried you might change it. Which you should. Immediately." "I want to," I said. "But my old will. I don't know where it is. She has my filing cabinet locked. We can draft a new one. A holographic will, handwritten, can be valid. But a formal one is better. We'll do that. We'll also revoke the power of attorney. Today. You have the right to do that as long as you're competent. We'll file the revocation with the county. We'll send a copy to her lawyer. It won't stop the guardianship petition, but it shows you are acting intentionally." She stood up. "Our first steps. Object to the petition. Schedule the independent evaluation. Revoke the POA. Execute a new will. Gather affidavits from your peers. Are you ready?" "I am ready," I said. The work began. It was not dramatic. It was paperwork. It was detail. Amanda filed the objection. She requested the independent evaluation. The court granted it. The evaluation was scheduled for 3 weeks later. I revoked the power of attorney. I signed the document in Amanda's office. A notary stamped it. Amanda sent it by certified mail to Sutter and Brecken. And to Eleanor. The reaction was swift. Eleanor called me. She was hysterical. A shrill, furious sound I had never heard from her. "How could you? How could you do this to me? After all I've done. That lawyer is poisoning you against your own family." I listened. I said nothing. "You are sick, Mom. You need help. This proves it. This paranoid legal battle. You're destroying our family." When she ran out of breath, I spoke. My voice was quiet. "The only battle is the one you started, Ellie. I am finishing it." I hung up. She showed up at my house. She pounded on the door. I did not answer. I sat in my living room reading. She eventually left. She called my sister, Helen. Helen called me, confused. "Ellie says you're suing her. That you've gone senile and are being manipulated by a lawyer." I explained. Briefly. Factually. I told her about the secret POA. The locked files. The excluded wedding. The guardianship petition. Helen was silent for a long time. She told me you chose not to come to the wedding. That you found travel too difficult. She lied, I said. Oh, Clara. Helen's voice was thick. I'm so sorry. What can I do? The court may ask for character affidavits. Would you be willing to write one? Stating that I have always been of sound mind? That our recent conversations have been coherent? Yes. Of course. Send me the details. Thank you, Helen. I contacted Margot. I told her a simplified version. That there was a family legal matter. That I needed a letter attesting to my mental acuity. From our book club days. She agreed immediately. I never believed it, Clara. I never believed you were confused. I just didn't know how to help. This helps, I said. The independent evaluation was the crucible. It was conducted by a psychiatrist named Dr. Lyman. His office was neutral. Professional. The evaluation took 4 hours. It included a full medical history, a neurological exam, extensive cognitive testing, and an interview about my life, my decisions, the conflict with my daughter. He asked pointed questions. Why did you sign the power of attorney? I trusted my daughter. I thought it was a precaution. Why did you open a separate bank account? Because I felt my financial autonomy had been removed. I wanted a space that was mine. Do you believe your daughter is trying to harm you? I considered. I believe she is trying to control my assets. Whether that is harmful to me or simply to my independence is for the court to decide. He nodded. He made notes. At the end, he said little. He thanked me for my time. He said a report would be sent to the court and to both lawyers. The waiting was the hardest part. The court date loomed. Eleanor's lawyer deposed me. Amanda was by my side. The questions were designed to trip me up, to make me seem forgetful or contradictory. I answered slowly. Precisely. I did not guess. If I did not remember, I said so. Amanda deposed Eleanor. She came back to her office afterward. She looked pleased. She was arrogant, Amanda said. She underestimated you. She talked too much. She contradicted herself on the wedding story. She couldn't produce a consistent reason for why you needed a guardian, other than that you disagreed with her. The report from Dr. Lyman arrived a week before the hearing. Amanda called me. It's excellent, she said. He finds you fully competent. No cognitive impairment. No mental disorder. He notes you are sharp, articulate, and possess a clear understanding of your financial and personal circumstances. He states that the conflict appears to stem from a difference in management philosophy and a breakdown in family communication, not from any incapacity on your part. I closed my eyes. The relief was a physical wave. He also notes, Amanda continued, that the petitioner's actions, controlling finances, limiting social contact, locking away documents, are, in his professional opinion, indicative of undue influence, not protective care. He's using the language we need. The hearing was not in a dramatic courtroom. It was in a small probate chamber. A judge's bench. A few chairs. It felt administrative. Eleanor was there with her lawyer. Greg was with her. She looked at me once. Her eyes were cold. Then she looked away. Her lawyer presented his case. He argued I was a vulnerable elder making risky decisions. He cited the secret account. He said my revocation of the POA was proof of my irrationality. Then Amanda presented ours. She submitted Dr. Lyman's report. She submitted affidavits from Helen and Margot. She submitted my financial records, showing consistent, responsible management for decades until Eleanor's intervention. She called me to the stand. I swore to tell the truth. Amanda asked me simple questions. I answered them. I was calm. I was clear. Then her lawyer cross-examined me. He tried to fluster me. He asked about dates. About amounts. He asked why I distrusted my own daughter. I did not distrust her until she gave me reason to, I said. What reason? She lied to me. She excluded me from my grandson's wedding. She locked away my personal documents. She filed this petition when I sought to regain control of my own life. The lawyer blinked. My answer was direct. It was not the rambling of a confused woman. He had no more questions. The judge, a woman with tired eyes, listened to closing arguments. She took a brief recess to review the file. When she returned, she spoke plainly. This court finds no clear and convincing evidence of incapacity. The petition for guardianship is denied. The temporary powers granted under the power of attorney are voided by the respondent's valid revocation. Ms. Vance is restored to full control of her person and her estate. She looked at Eleanor's lawyer. Counsel, I have read Dr. Lyman's report. I am referring a copy to the State Bar with a note about the allegations of undue influence. I suggest your client reconsider her approach to familial care. It was over. In 20 minutes. Eleanor stood up. She walked out without a word. Greg followed her. Amanda touched my arm. It's done. You're free. I nodded. I felt empty. Not victorious. Just empty. The aftermath was quiet. Amanda helped me secure my home. We changed the locks. We sent a formal letter to Eleanor, instructing her to return all documents removed from my house within 7 days. She returned them in a box. Left on the porch. The filing cabinet key was on top. I hired a financial advisor, vetted by Amanda. We untangled my accounts. We removed Eleanor's name from everything. We set up automatic bill pay that I controlled. I updated my will. I left my estate to a scholarship fund for teachers. I left a small, token amount to Eleanor. $1. The symbolism was not lost on me, or on Amanda. I knew it would cause another kind of battle when I died. But that was a battle for another day. A day I would not be here for. Eleanor did not contact me again. Not for months. Then in the fall a letter came. From her lawyer. A new one. Not Sutter and Brecken. It claimed I had been unduly influenced by Amanda Price. It threatened a lawsuit against Amanda for elder abuse and estate manipulation. It was a desperate move. A threat designed to scare me into re-engagement. Amanda was unconcerned. It's frivolous. It has no basis. If she files it, we will countersue for malicious prosecution and legal fees. She will lose. She knows this. I believed her. I did not respond to the letter. The lawsuit was never filed. Life rebuilt itself around a new quiet. A quieter quiet. I rejoined a book club. A new one. I made tentative friendships. I traveled. I visited Helen in Florida. I thought about Ben. I missed him. I sent him a birthday card. I did not hear back. I understood. He was her son. His loyalty was to her. Or his peace was with her. That was the price. The permanent, quiet price. A year passed. Then 2. I lived simply. I tended my garden. I read. I wrote in a journal. Not a journal of evidence. A journal of thoughts. One afternoon, I was cleaning out the den. I finally opened the filing cabinet Eleanor had locked. I found the old will. The one leaving everything to her. I shredded it. Beneath some folders, I found a small box. It was mine. I had forgotten it. It held keepsakes. My children's drawings. Ben's first-grade picture. A Mother's Day card from Eleanor, from when she was maybe 8. It was crayon on construction paper. It said, "I love you, Mommy. You are the best." The paper was brittle. The crayon was faded. I held it. I felt nothing at first. Then a deep, profound sorrow. Not for what was lost, but for what had never really been there. The love on that card was real, from a child. But the woman that child became saw me not as a mother, but as an asset. A problem to be managed, then a resource to be secured. I put the card back in the box. I put the box on a shelf. I did not throw it away. That is the story. There is no dramatic reconciliation. No deathbed forgiveness. There is just life, lived at a dignified distance. The justice was quiet. It was procedural. It was the judge's gavel. The independent doctor's report. The new lock on my door. The consequence for Eleanor was not prison. It was the permanent severing of a tie. The loss of a mother. The stain on her professional reputation, once the Bar Association reviewed the judge's note. I heard, through Helen, that she left her law firm. She and Greg moved to another state. I do not know if she is happy. I do not care. My life is my own again. The days are slow. They are mine. I sit now in my garden. The tea is warm in my hands. The calendar in the kitchen shows a picture of a quiet beach. I will turn the page soon. I have one question left. It is not a question of revenge. It is a question of understanding. When did the little girl who drew that card decide that her mother's love was not enough? That she needed to own the woman, too? The seasons turned with a gentle predictability. Spring brought rain and the first green shoots in my garden. Summer brought long, quiet evenings on the porch. I planted tomatoes. I watched them grow from seedlings to sprawling vines heavy with fruit. I gave most of the tomatoes away. To my neighbor, Mr. Jacobs, who fixed my mailbox post. To the new librarian, a young woman named Chloe, which made me pause for a moment before I handed her the bag. She was not my grandson's Chloe. Just a coincidence. I had a rhythm. Mornings for reading and correspondence. Afternoons for errands or gardening. Evenings for quiet reflection. The panic was gone. The vigilance was gone. What remained was a settled awareness. A knowledge of what people could be capable of. Amanda Price checked in quarterly. Then semi-annually. Our relationship was cordial, professional. She had done her job exceptionally well. I paid her invoices promptly. The last one was marked final, matter closed. I received a letter from the State Bar Association. A formal notice. It stated that after review of the probate court's referral, the allegations of undue influence against Eleanor Marie Vance had been substantiated. No public disciplinary action was taken, as she was not the attorney of record, but a confidential advisory was placed in her file. Any future complaint would be viewed in that light. It was a footnote, a piece of bureaucratic justice. It meant little to me, but I knew it would have meant everything to her. Her professional record, once impeccable, was now marred. It was a quiet, permanent smudge. I filed the letter with my other important papers in the now unlocked cabinet. 2 years after the hearing, I sold the house. It was not a decision born of fear or sadness. It was practical. The stairs were becoming a concern. The garden was more work than I could manage. The quiet had become too large for the rooms. I found a small ground-floor condominium in a friendly complex near the library. It had a tiny patio where I could grow herbs in pots. The move was smooth. I hired a company. I donated many things. I kept only what I needed and what I loved. The sale of the house netted a significant sum. I placed it in conservative investments, managed by my new financial advisor. The teacher's scholarship fund would be well endowed. I did not tell Eleanor I was moving. I had no obligation to. Helen knew. She helped me pack some boxes during a visit. She never mentioned Eleanor. I never asked. One afternoon, about 6 months after I moved into the condo, my doorbell rang. It was a Saturday. I was not expecting anyone. I looked through the peephole. It was Ben. My heart did a strange, painful flip. I had not seen him in over 3 years. Since that Thanksgiving. He looked older. He had a beard. He stood on my welcome mat, shifting his weight. I opened the door. "Grandma," he said. He looked relieved that I had answered. "Ben, this is a surprise. Can I come in?" I stepped back. He entered. He looked around the small, tidy living room. It was so different from the house he had known. "This is nice," he said. "It suits me. Would you like some tea?" "Sure. That'd be great." I went to the kitchen. He followed. He leaned against the doorway. He watched me fill the kettle. "How did you find me?" I asked. "Aunt Helen. I called her. She made me promise not to cause you trouble." "And are you? Causing trouble?" "No," he said quickly. "God, no. I needed to see you. To talk to you." The kettle whistled. I poured the water. I brought 2 mugs to the small table. We sat. He held his mug but didn't drink. He stared into it. "I'm sorry," he said. His voice was thick. "I'm so sorry, Grandma." "For what specifically?" My tone was not harsh. It was inquiring. I needed to know what he knew. For everything. For the wedding. For not standing up for you. For believing her. For just going along with it. He looked up. His eyes were wet. "I didn't know. Not the whole story. She told me you were getting forgetful. That you were vulnerable. That you'd gotten paranoid and hired a lawyer who was taking advantage. She made it sound like we were saving you from a scam." I nodded slowly. "That is a common narrative. It wasn't until Mom and Greg moved. And things were tense. And I found some papers she'd left behind in their shredder. Not shredded. Just crumpled. Copies of the guardianship petition. The doctor's report. Your objection." He took a shaky breath. "I read it all. I read what the independent doctor said. About undue influence. I read your affidavit. About the bank accounts. The locked files. I felt sick. I confronted her. What did she say? She said you were a brilliant manipulator. That you'd fooled the doctor. That you were trying to destroy the family. She was so calm about it. So sure. It was frightening." He finally took a sip of tea. "Chloe helped me see it. She said the facts weren't adding up. Why would a scammer lawyer help you keep your house and your money? It didn't make sense. And then I remembered the wedding. How weird it was that you weren't there. How Mom had given me that note to send you. She wrote it for me. I just signed it. The pieces were clicking into place for him. Late, but they were clicking. I am not a manipulator, Ben. I am a woman who wanted to manage her own life. Your mother wanted to manage it for me. For my money. When I resisted, she tried to have me declared incompetent." He put his face in his hands. I know that now. I'm so ashamed. I was her son. I trusted her. I didn't think to question. You were not obligated to question your mother," I said. It was true. The primary betrayal was not his. "You are here now. That means something." He looked up, hopeful, desperate. "Can you forgive me?" "Forgiveness is not a transaction, Ben. It is a process. You are my grandson. I love you. That has never changed. But trust, that is different. That is built on actions. Over time." He nodded, swallowing hard. "I understand. I don't expect anything. I just wanted you to know. That I see her now. I see what she did. And I'm so sorry I was a part of it." We talked for an hour. He told me about his life. His job. His marriage. He was careful. He did not ask about my finances. He did not ask about my will. He asked about my books. My garden. My new routines. It was a good visit. It was a start. When he left, he hugged me. It was a real hug. Tight and full of regret. "Can I visit again?" he asked at the door. "Yes," I said. "Call first." He smiled, a watery smile. "I will. I promise." He did visit. Every few months. He and Chloe came for dinner once. They brought flowers. They washed the dishes. It was normal. It was gentle. We never spoke of Eleanor again. He told me, on his third visit, that he and his mother were in only sporadic contact. Superficial texts on holidays. He said it was easier that way. I did not offer an opinion. It was his relationship to manage. My life continued its calm course. I took a memoir writing class at the community center. I wrote about my childhood. About Arthur. I did not write about Eleanor. That story was still too close. It was not yet a memory. It was a scar. On my 78th birthday, Helen flew in. Ben and Chloe took us out to a nice restaurant. It was a happy evening. I felt surrounded, genuinely, by care. That night, back in my condo, I felt a deep sense of peace. It was not the peace of forgetting. It was the peace of integration. The story of my daughter's betrayal was now a chapter in my life. Not the whole book. I outlived Arthur by 10 years. I watched my garden thrive in pots. I made a friend in the memoir class, a man named Walter who had lost his wife. We had coffee sometimes. We talked about books. The days were full enough. When I was 80, I had a minor health scare. A small stroke. A TA, the doctor called it. It left me with a slight weakness in my left hand. It was a warning. Amanda Price had retired. I hired a new lawyer, a younger woman named Sarah, to review my estate plans. Everything was in order. The scholarship fund was established as a separate trust. My condo would be sold, and the proceeds would go to the trust. My personal items were earmarked for Helen, Ben, and a few friends. The document was clear. Unassailable. I recovered from the TIA. The weakness mostly faded, but it reminded me of time, of limits. Ben visited me in the hospital. He held my good hand. He looked terrified. It was the fear of losing someone you have just found again. I'm all right, I told him. Just a reminder to pay attention. He helped me settle back at home. He stocked my freezer with meals. He set up a system where a neighbor would check on me daily. He was being helpful, but it was a different kind of help. It was asked for. It was given freely. It was not control. That is the key difference. The space between a request and a demand. The years softened the sharp edges of the past. The memory of Eleanor's face, cold in the probate chamber, faded. What remained was the lesson. The quiet, brutal lesson that love can calcify into ownership. That care can be a weapon. I never hated her. Hate would have been a connection. I felt a profound disconnection. As if she were a stranger who had once lived in my house. When I was 83, Helen called. Her voice was quiet on the phone. Clara, I have some news. It's about Ellie. I waited. Greg left her. A year ago, apparently. He took a lot of their money. Moved to Costa Rica with someone else. I said nothing. And she's sick, Clara. Cancer. It's advanced. She's in treatment, but the prognosis isn't good. The news settled into the quiet room. It was just information. It did not spark joy. It did not spark sorrow. It was a fact, like the weather report. Are you telling me because you think I should do something? I asked. No, Helen said quickly. I'm telling you because you have a right to know. I've been in touch with her a little. She's diminished. Physically. She asked about you. What did she ask? She asked if you were well. She didn't ask to talk to you. I think she knows she can't. Thank you for telling me, Helen. You're welcome. I love you, Clara. I love you too. I hung up. I sat for a long time. I thought about the little girl with the crayon card. I thought about the woman in the suit, sliding the power of attorney across my kitchen table. I felt a pang then. Not for her. For the loss of the story I had believed in. The story of a mother and a daughter. That story was gone. It had been gone for a long time. I did not reach out. I did not send a card. I did not offer forgiveness or a deathbed reconciliation. That would have been a performance. For her, or for me, or for some idea of how things should end. Real endings are rarely so neat. Ben called me a few months later. His voice was flat. Mom died last night. In hospice. Aunt Helen was with her. I'm sorry for your loss, Ben, I said. It was the truth. I was sorry for the loss of his mother. However flawed she was his. Thanks, Grandma. The funeral is next week. In Indiana, where she'd been living. I'm going. I don't expect you to come. I will not be coming, I said gently. But I will be thinking of you. I know. We talked a little more. He said the cancer had been aggressive. He said she had been in pain. He did not say she had expressed any last-minute regrets. I did not ask. After we hung up, I went to my shelf. I took down the small box of keepsakes. I found the crayon card. I looked at it for a long time. Then I put it back in the box. I put the box back on the shelf. I did not throw it away. But I did not take it out again. Life, as it does, moved forward. Ben and Chloe had a child. A little girl they named Clara. They brought her to see me when she was 6 months old. She had bright eyes and a serious expression. I held her. She was warm and solid. A new story beginning. I am writing this now from my condo. I am 87. My hand is steady enough. The herbs on my patio are thriving. Walter and I still have coffee. We talk less about the past and more about the news. About the stubbornness of tomato plants. The story is complete. The justice was quiet. It was legal, procedural, and final. It left no room for theatrics. Only for consequences. Eleanor's consequence was the life she built after the probate court. A life that ended in illness and abandonment, far from the mother she tried to own. I do not know if she found peace. I suspect she did not. People who see others as instruments rarely do. My consequence was this long, quiet aftermath. A life reclaimed. A peace earned through vigilance and calm resolve. It is a good life. It is my own. I sit here in the afternoon sun. The room is silent except for the hum of the refrigerator. A good silence. I have one final question. It is the only one that remains. When does a mother stop being a mother? When the child draws the first crayon card, or when the adult signs the final petition?